Imagine this. You're arrested. Not for some big conspiracy or anything like that, but just for forwarding a few posts online. Well, that's exactly what happened to Chen Jingyuan, a PhD scholar in physics. And his story, wow, it really opens up this intense legal battle at the intersection of knowledge, state power, and our digital world. And get this is the absolutely chilling thing Chen Jingyuan says his interrogators told him. Knowledge makes one more reactionary. That one sentence just cuts right to the heart of the conflict, doesn't it? It suggests a fear of an educated, independent thinker. It's like the crime wasn't just what he shared, but who he was for sharing it. So you're probably wondering, how does a physicist end up in a prison cell for just, being online? Well, if you look at the timeline of his case, you can see just how fast this all went down. From his arrest in late 2022 to a letter of defiance from prison just this year, the whole legal process was incredibly quick, with very little room for debate. So what exactly was he charged with? The official accusation is, well, it's as peculiar as it is powerful. He was charged with picking quarrels and provoking trouble. Now, legal critics have a nickname for this. They call it a pocket crime. Think of it like a catch-all charge. Its roots go back decades, but in the age of the internet, its super vague definition has made it the perfect tool for prosecuting online speech that the authorities just don't like. Okay, so how did the state actually build its case against him? The prosecution's argument really boiled down to a few key actions that they said were serious enough for prison time. So, the official story goes like this. The indictment claimed Chen used software to get around China's internet firewall. Then, he knowingly spread what they called false statements. The prosecution's big argument was that doing this caused serious chaos and disrupted public order, which, in their eyes, was a violation of the criminal code. Now, the accusation is one thing, but how did the court justify finding him guilty? The reasoning they gave is really, really revealing. It focused less on the actual impact of his posts and a lot more on the man himself. The court's entire judgment pretty much rested on this one argument. Because Chen Jingyuan has a PhD, his high level of education meant he should have known better. So his knowledge wasn't a defense. Nope, they used it as proof that he knew exactly what he was doing. And that line of thinking led to a very real, very concrete consequence, a sentence of 1 year and 8 months in prison. The court's abstract justification about his intellect met the cold, hard reality of a prison cell. But Chen did not stay silent. Not at all. From his appeal, and then later from a letter he wrote in prison, he put together this systematic, point-by-point takedown of the charges. So let's dive into that. His first line of defense was a really simple but incredibly powerful question that just cuts right to the heart of the charge. Did his post actually cause any harm to anyone? See, the law for picking quarrels is specific. It requires proof of serious public disorder. But Chen argued that his reality was completely different. He was like, look, my account had fewer than 100 followers, most of them weren't even active, and my posts had almost zero engagement. In his view, there was no disorder, period. Okay, so that was his first point. His second major challenge was to the prosecution's central claim that he was spreading false information. He basically argued that the very idea of true or false just didn't apply to most of the stuff he shared. He broke down the content he shared into 4 different buckets. First, there was art, like political cartoons, which, are symbolic, not literal facts. Second, emotional expressions, which are totally subjective. Third, academic theories. These are ideas up for debate, not something you can prove true or false. And finally, factual accounts, which, as just some guy on the internet, he argued he had no power or duty to fact-check for everyone. And all of this leads to this feeling of deep injustice. He argued that literally thousands of other people, including the original authors, shared the exact same content, and yet he was the one singled out, arrested, and prosecuted. He called it what it was, selective enforcement that was extremely unfair. So you've heard the state's case, and you've heard Chen's detailed rebuttal. So how did it all end? Let's take a look at the final judgment. The higher court's decision was swift and it was decisive. In May 2023, they just dismissed his appeal and upheld the original verdict. No new hearing. For the state, the case was closed. But for Chen, it wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Writing from prison almost a year later, he declared that this case was just the first bugle call in what he sees as a lifelong fight for accountability. The state delivered its final judgment, but Chen promises he's going to have his own. This whole case of Chen Jingyuan leaves us with a profound and, frankly, a pretty unsettling question. In this world of digital information, where a simple click, a simple share, can be interpreted as a crime, where is the line between free expression and a criminal act? And maybe more importantly, who gets to draw that line?